Welcome back to Five on the Floor. I am your host, Greg Sylvander. Today's floor plan with me, not Ethan Skolnick, not Tropical Blanket, aka Alex Toledo, but with me is Brady Hawk. You know him at Brady Hawk 305 on Twitter, and a surprise guest. We literally made this happen, basically before the Dolphins game started today. A great friend and Miami HeatBeat Hangover Time host, Alphonse Sidney. Welcome to the program, my friend.
What's going on, man? You're lucky you called me when I started drinking.
Yeah, see, I know the timing of these things, and I
Yeah.
knew I had you just early enough where I could get a commitment, but I kept saying don't feel obligated because I know how these days go. I didn't see how
Bro,
the Giants game ended. Did they win today or no?
no, don't they play tomorrow?
Oh, they're the Monday night game against
Yeah,
Dallas.
yeah, yeah.
All right, Heat fans, we're not going to do NFL talk.
I'm
Don't
a Tua
worry.
fan anyway. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, hey, it's been fun to be a Dolphin fan for a few days, but
This is
we are
bandwagon.
here. We are here to not talk about any field plans. We're talking about the floor plan, and that is we are going to get you set for Miami Heat Media Day, which is coming up tomorrow. We will have you fully covered at Five Reasons Sports Network. A host of characters, including Ethan Skolnick, Alex Toledo, Brady Hawk here on this show, as well as Gad Cartagena, will all be in the building. We got exclusive interviews lined up with a number of players, podium interviews, one-on-ones to the side. Ethan's going to be definitely trying to pull his weight with certain individuals to get great sound bites. So you will have that coming to you. But today, what we essentially want to do is I kind of thought through this, and I want to make sure that all of our listeners and our fans that maybe like take the summer off because you're normal human beings that have lives and want to like unplug from this stuff and do family things or just completely go in a different direction. And if you're just now tapping back in because we're about to start training camp, we kind of want to come together and figure out what this rotation may look like to start the season. Not what it's going to look like in the playoffs, not what it's going to look like after the trade deadline, but to start the year. How are they going to start? Who is going to come off the bench? And we're going to make a little bit of sense of that. Back half of the episode, we'll talk a little bit about Media Day and get you prepped for that. So I guess I'll start here, and we're going to go to Al first on this because there's been a lot of talk on the Heat don't have a 4, blah, blah, blah. Where have you landed on now that the reality is it looks like this is the team that they're bringing into training camp, since that's what 48 hours away, and they're still going to the Bahamas, everybody, despite the storm stuff. And let's hope everybody stays safe. But Alf, like when you think about this team now, who do you see being the starting 5 right off the bat?
Well, if you follow me on Twitter, I'm a big fan of Play Duncan at the 4, which started off as a joke. It is still kind of a joke. But the more I think about it, I'm like, there could be some good minutes for him at the 4. Now, starting, all right, come on, let's be serious. I've kind of come around on the fact that start your 5 best guys, right? If you do not have that legitimate power forward, we're talking 6'8", big wingspan, rebounder, somebody can just get it done inside the paint, help Bam out, switch on the bigs. The guy just isn't on the roster right now. So what do? You play your 5 best guys. And to me, that's some combination of Kyle, Tyler, Depot, Jimmy, Bam, maybe Strus over Depot or Strus over Tyler. We'll see how it shakes out. But to me, I don't see like the Caleb Martin thing. You start Caleb Martin, that means 2 of Depot and Strus are on the bench, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
Hero. So like I just don't like that idea. And it's not like Caleb Martin's a huge guy. He's 6'5". So I just think it's going to come down to play your best 5. They switch everything anyway. So everyone who's worried about Jimmy Bain with bigs all the time, he doesn't. He half the time it's going to be Kyle Lowry, for God's sake. Like Bam's going to be out there guarding point guards. It doesn't really. They don't hold themselves to these the normal standards of roster positionless basketball. We talk about it all the time. So if you're truly positionless, start your 5 best guys, roll the ball out there. You have a point guard, you have a center, you have 3 other playmakers. Let's see what happens.
Nah, I'm with you, and I'm glad that you took it immediately there because I think that we learned in this past playoff run that Jimmy at the 4 is likely the answer for this team. Like when the shit hits the fan and it's go time to win, Jimmy's probably going to be playing the 4 on this group, even if they go get a 4, frankly, unless that 4 is like way better than Jay Crowder. Like essentially, I think that they're going to size down in most circumstances.
Is there a potential 4 out there that would close with this team?
Out there, I doubt. I don't see it. I don't see it.
You're
right.
not benching any of the guys that I just named. You're not benching those guys for, I don't even know who's out there. Bogdanovich. I don't see it happening.
He got traded, but even
Kelly, he already got traded.
To your point, though, Kelly Olynyk.
Yeah, they're not going to.
Jay Crowder. It's not making a difference.
Even if you're talking about a John Collins, like Miles Turner, I don't think those guys are closing on the team. Spo likes speed. Spo likes guys who can switch everything. And if you're going to be doing that in the last 5 minutes of the game, most likely Jimmy's going to be your 4.
So Brady, do you think that they actually pivot to Brady at the 4? That's one day. Not at the 4, but Brady in the video room, not Brady at the 4. So do you think that it's Jimmy at the 4, that's how they start? There's a lot of talk of like, I'm of the opinion that they're going to try to maximize Tyler Hero and Max Strus to the utmost ability. And I feel like we're leaning in the direction of kind of something like Kyle, Tyler, Max, Jimmy, and Bam. Do you think that that's what you're seeing? I do have one other theory I'm going to save in terms of the starters here that I think is an underrated option that may take place. But like, where do you lean? Am I onto something there? Is Alf onto something with Jimmy at the 4? We know nobody else is really going to do these things. He ends up on 4s. Alf said it best, but where do you stand in terms of them actually starting the season with Jimmy Butler at the 4?
Yeah, I honestly hate that I don't disagree with you guys because I feel like this is one where just all three going to agree because I personally think that you just named the starting lineup to start the year. Like, I just really do believe it. The Caleb Martin thing, I think he can provide a lot in terms of the things he could do that PJ provided. Obviously, the one thing I don't think he can do is size up. That's one thing I just can't really see if he could develop in that way. In other areas of his game, I think he could be big. But as I keep saying, I really don't like the Jimmy, Caleb, Bam combo at all. Like, I really don't like that front court. I don't think there's enough shooting. The numbers say that it wasn't even good defensively for some reason. Like, it was just counteracted really weirdly. And I won't say that offensive reading and defensive rating tell the full story anyway, but it just did not look good in general. Caleb was best when he was coming in for Jimmy, when he was playing at the 4 next to Bam around a bunch of basically runners and shooters when they would just kind of speed up the game. So I think that needs to be his role again. I don't think they need to force him into this role just because they lost PJ Tucker. What they should do is play to their roster. And what their roster says is, yes, they're smaller, but they're also better offensively. And that's what leads into the point that I think we all know that Lowry, Butler, and Bam are pretty much locked since you're trying to find the other two. We know they said about Tyler having to earn his spot. I just personally think he does earn it. Like, that's kind of my thing. Everybody keeps coming back to that and saying, well, he's not going to be given that spot. I think he goes in camp and earns it. Like, I think he can be that good and can kind of balance these other guys on the roster, and they can figure out the kind of the on-ball, off-ball stuff from there. And then I turn to Max Strus and I say, this lineup needs shooting. They need somebody that doesn't need to dominate the ball, which could be a Caleb, but I think there's the offense thing is just much more important than kind of being an off-ball guy defensively. So the other part of this that I keep coming back to as well is that I just think that specific starting lineup makes the bench so much more intriguing. Like, when I look at the bench lineup and I say, okay, well, Gabe and Caleb are playing in the top of a 2-2-1 press because anytime they're out there together, they're pressing you. You have Depot that's able to control the game himself in a high usage, just like Tyler did last season. It fits them really well. And if you're in a 2-2-1 press, like I just said, something I keep bringing up is that every time they run that, they back into a 2-3 zone. Who's probably going to be your backup center this year? That's Omer Yurtseven. And that's where do you want him defensively? In a zone where he can just sit under the rim and doesn't have to be manipulated in pick and rolls and move around all the time. So on paper, this makes a lot of sense. But I don't know if this is the way you were going, Greg, when you talked about one more kind of way they could go with this. But on paper, if we were just talking strictly paper, when you look at the starting lineup, it does make a lot more sense to slot in Oladipo for Hero. I'll just say that. Like, it makes a lot more sense on paper when you say defensively, they can find things that they can do. And Max, let's say people are worried about Tyler and Max getting picked on. That plugs some things there. And you're also saying that Depot can work next to Jimmy at a higher rate, and you're putting the defenders off the bench next to Tyler Hero. So on paper, it maybe makes a little bit more sense, but I just personally don't think that's the route they go. I don't think that's the route they should go, but we should note that it is potentially an option.
Alf, what do you think about the idea of Depot? If he returns to the form to the degree that he takes the starting 2 spot from Tyler Hero, that is a great problem to have for the Miami Heat. But like, there is a political aspect to it, Alf. Like, how do you digest that? Do you think Tyler would stand for it? Is it the best thing for the team? Because Brady, you said you didn't know if that was the thing that I had in my back pocket as another option. It actually wasn't. I wasn't even thinking in those terms. I feel like Tyler has to take the reins at the starting 2 guard spot. But Alf, is it viable to consider Depot? Is that for real?
Well, if that happens, first of all, I don't think Spo cares about the politics, especially when it comes to a guy like Tyler Hero. I mean, I think if you're talking about, I think there's 3 guys who who can pull a little rank in that locker room. It's Kyle Lowry, it's Bam Adebayo, and Jimmy Butler. That's it. No, like I don't think Spo cares about hurting Tyler's feelings. So if Depot wins the starting spot, that means Depot looks really, really good, right? So, and I do agree with Brady where it's you. And at that point, you got to look around. There needs to be another shooter in that lineup. If you're gonna play Depot, Lowry, Bam, and Jimmy together, that means Max is there, and Tyler's a really good shooter. But we know that he's not the guy that's going to stand in the corner, and he's not going to spot up. And you want that playmaking, you want that production off the bench. You got to get it from somewhere. So I could see that happening. I don't think that's what's going to happen. When we first started talking, I mentioned Depot as one of your best 5 players. He could be one of your best 5, but I do think that Tyler will beat him out. And if that's the case, you need the shooting. Like, I don't think you can play Hero, Depot, Lowry, Jimmy, and Bam together. I just don't think you have a really reliable shooter out there. So I do think that would slot Strus in and put Depot on the bench. But to me, it's like you said, it's a good problem to have. Like, if you don't know which one of these guys is going to win that spot, that's because they're both competing and they're both showing you something.
So true. And this is the other thing. Like, we are talking about a roster that is admittedly not balanced. So there's an element of this where we're just inherently going to have to factor in where the hell are you slotting in all these guards, because the team does not have a bunch of huge wings and bigs. Like, it's not that type of group. So they're going to have to play smaller for now, right?
Someone on Twitter was like, I don't want to see any 3-guard lineups. I'm like, what the hell do you think? I mean, there's 19 guards on the team.
Yeah.
Like, all there is guard lineups. Like, it's gonna be 4 guards and Bam. Talking about you don't want 3 guards. You're talking about 4 guards and Bam and 4 guards with your 7 and 4 guards with Dedmon. That's basically what you're talking about throughout the entire roster. Like, if you really want to consider Jimmy Butler a small forward, more power to you.
Right.
But there's the whole roster is a bunch of guards. Yeah. And Haywood Highsmith.
Well, Caleb Martin's bio says Miami Heat guard. Let's just throw that in there as well. When you say the 4 guard lineups,
that's what's so funny. Like, we're like Max Strus at the 3. He's a 2 by nature. Like, it's just funny the whole roster. And Alf is setting me up with the assists. We have chemistry, long-standing chemistry. He mentions Haywood Highsmith. This is where I'm going with my little sneak scenario. You know how Spoelstra's done this weird thing where we have absolutely no idea Kendrick Nunn is about to start, and all of a sudden Kendrick Nunn is starting? I just wouldn't put it past him. If somebody has a really great camp, like Haywood Highsmith, like Darius Days, that's a little bit more far-fetched, frankly. That one of those guys would get a shot at least allowing them to play slightly more traditional basketball by virtue of a player having just more size, more length. So if a player were to come out and impress, that's the only other scenario I could see where they could sneak a front court player in. Admittedly, it wouldn't be their best 5 players on the floor, but we've seen them also have placeholder starters, and I'm kind of the mindset that they have to solve the front court issue at some point. So whoever is starting, even if it's Jimmy, to me, it's a placeholder for when they can supplement the front court. Do either of you think I am completely crazy? Are you buying, selling? You want to shut up and go on to the next segment? Brady, I'll go to you first.
You're definitely not crazy. Like, when you look at the fact that what they've done the past few seasons with guys just like Haywood Highsmith, like, it's actually a possibility. And I think his type of build fits around these guys. Like you're talking about a 3-and-D build that can maximize, that can bridge the gap between Jimmy and Bam in that little 4 position, that can kind of stretch the floor at his best and also guard the perimeter at a high level on switches. Like, I think that's the build that you'd want. And I'm interested to see if that's actually his build at the NBA level, because that's where the difference comes. Like if he has a crazy camp and he's shooting the ball really well and you can tell that he's able to stretch the floor and he can defend, that's what makes this a possibility. And to your point, you're talking about him kind of showing out in camp. That's when this kicks in. But I'm interested, which I think it'll be interesting to talk to him tomorrow at media day, because I wonder what his build is focused on, is like what his focus is on his build. Because is he aiming for this full on 3-and-D? Is he looking to expand on it? Because I feel like that's the tell on if he has a real shot in this starting lineup, or at least the rotation in general. Like that feels like the big shot to me. And I don't think it's crazy. I think he has the tools to do it. I think the summer league leap he took, because all the focus was on Jovic and all the focus was on these other guys. And they did this last year. All the focus was on Omer Yurtseven, and then Max Strus just kind of showed out. Like there's all these different times where guys just show out. I think this is one of those things where he sneaks up on you. And hey, if we want to throw Jovic into that conversation to go really crazy, we could do that too, because you threw Darius Days in there. Like if one of these guys could show out in camp, somebody's going to sneak up on us, because there's never been a season in recent memory where we knew what the roster was heading in and nobody emerged.
There's probably a guy who's playing well above his head, and the Miami Heat are just making sure that that information does not leak. Do you have a water leak and can't find where it's coming from? Are you dealing with water or mold damage in your home or business? Then call Water Cleanup of Florida at 954-579-0356 for immediate assistance. With over 60 years of combined experience, Michael, Robert, and their team is prepared to handle all types of leak detection issues 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. We know storms are coming. In Florida, we feel like we can handle it, but you may need help at times, right? After a leak has been located and repaired, Water Cleanup of Florida will then clean, dry, and fully restore the damaged area. They're fully licensed, insured, and certified to provide one-stop shopping that every busy homeowner or business owner requires. No need to bring in any other contractors. They'll handle everything from start to finish. Service areas include Miami, Broward, and Palm Beach counties. Call Michael anytime on his personal cell. Call him directly, 954-579-0356. That's 954-579-0356, or visit their website at wcufl.com. Follow them on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Check out all those 5-star reviews on Google. The proof is in the reviews, y'all. Water Cleanup of Florida. If you have the schmutz, they got the guts. So, Alf, tell me why Haywood Highsmith is crazy.
Let's talk about that transition. I mean, masterful, like just,
elite
expert
work.
level, just elite stuff. I'm sorry. I'm not going to let that go. I'm not going to, just gloss over that leak. That was amazing.
This is under the tutelage of you. And also, since we speak of tutelage, just so the listeners know, Brady with the subtle flex on Alex and I, or on Alf and I, when he's like, when I talk to Haywood Highsmith at media day tomorrow, I'll have to ask him. I see you, But like Alf, he is the Adam Simon Chet Kamara that found Brady Hawk, in case the listeners do not know. I don't know if that's a story for another day, if we can sneak it in here. But do you think, so I'll let you sneak that in if you want to, Alf. Otherwise, we can leave that up to the mystique of how these things take place. But are you buying Haywood Highsmith as an option before we flip to the bench?
Well, first, let's just let the audience believe Brady Hawk is the result of immaculate conception. Like, he just came out of nowhere, man, and he just took over local Heat media, took it by storm, just on his own too, because he really did. But the Haywood Highsmith thing, and I'm sorry to raid on your guys' parade, and I'm not the off-season doom and gloom guy. If you follow me on Twitter, you already know. I'm like, listen, I trust the Heat. But if I walk in to game 1 of the 2022-2023 regular season and Haywood Highsmith is my starting power forward, I am going to be pissed, all right? I'm going to be sleepy Pat tweeting, the offseason was a disaster. Like, to me, that is a disastrous offseason. I'm sorry. Like, I like Haywood Highsmith. I think he's a little bit of a project still. But if Haywood Highsmith is starting at the 4 for me, like, you can You can convince me that Jimmy at the 4. You can convince me even Caleb Martin. Like you can convince me of a lot of things. Duncan at the 4. But if I walk into game 1 of the regular season and Haywood Highsmith's a starting power forward, I'm pissed. I will officially say the offseason was a disaster.
You gonna pack them up?
I'm packing them up.
So like let's shift focus to the bench here, and let's not say Haywood Highsmith makes it into the starting lineup because it is a more far-fetched one of the options. But Spo does those weird ass things when he thinks when he thinks everybody has him figured out. That's what kind of stuff he'll say. Like Rodney Magruder is another guy that would like all of a sudden pop up as a starter.
Do you remember my reaction to Rodney Magruder playing 40 minutes a game?
Yes,
I can't.
It was kind of like Draymond Green's reaction. If you remember,
I can't say the words on this podcast.
Yeah, this is true.
You know, and like I am consistent with stuff like that. Like when we came into the 2021 season, and everyone's telling me Tyler Hero's a point guard, and what's his name, Mo Harkless could be your power forward. I was upset that year. Like I understand that we're going to find diamonds in the rough, but like at some point, like come on, you can't feed me Haywood Highsmith and tell me it's PJ Tucker.
Definitely. So let's get into the bench. I think they're going to go a little deeper than usual. If Brady, just quickly, over under the Heat start the season with a 10-man rotation, or 9. Let's set it at 9. Do they go over 9 players or under 9 players to start the regular season? Excuse me as I stumble.
I would say over 9. And the reason I say that is because, as I hinted at with my projection of starting lineup in the defensive bench unit, and I'm not just saying this because Alph's on this podcast, I think Duncan has a real shot to be like the training camp emerging player, like the one that shocks people, because as much as a guy had a down year, shooters don't forget how to shoot. Like that doesn't happen. Like sometimes if you can just turn a switch in your mind and all of a sudden you're starting over, a new season, a new slate, everything's new, and he's shooting that ball like we know he can shoot it, he has an opportunity to have real minutes on this team. And that's why I think where the 10 kicks in, because you look at that defensive bench unit that I brought up, let's just say hypothetically of Vincent, Oladipo, Martin, and then let's say the big is Yurtseven. What does that bench unit need? Other than the fact that you're switching in and out, obviously you're not just doing 5 for 5. But that unit needs shooting. Like it really does. And you have a shooter as your 10th guy sitting right on the outside, right off to the side, waiting to kind of be utilized. And I think he can be utilized in that lineup. When you talk about playing next to Oladipo, everything we've seen from Oladipo in this short stint has been next to every creator on the team because they had to. Like it was the playoffs. You're shrinking rotations. Everything is new. You have to play him next to Tyler and Jimmy, which I think is probably the most important thing of this season. I'll slip that in when Alf mentioned the lineup of kind of putting all those creators together. If that's your closing lineup kind of at the beginning of the season, I think you're in a good spot. Because if you can find a way for those 5 guys to play together, you're sitting very nicely. But I'll say, if you want Oladipo to be who he is and have the ball in his hands and all that stuff, having Robinson fly, and I hate to use the word gravity now once again, but fly off the ball and just utilize space, be that kind of gravity guy that doesn't need the ball in his hands. I just think it fits really well. So to answer your question, I just think this is another type of roster that you can't be strict to 9. Like you're strict to 9 in the playoffs. You do not need to be strict to 9 when you're talking about the regular season. And then you're adding in the fact that we don't expect Kyle Lowry to play close to 82. We don't probably expect Jimmy Butler to play close to 82. Why are we running 9 guys into the ground anyway? Utilize all you have and kind of move guys in and out. So that's where I could come down on. I think they have to kind of utilize everything. And then if you're in a spot, even though Alf hates it, to utilize Haywood Highsmith for spot minutes, if he's in that type of role, like why not if he's playing at a high level or playing at a decent level?
So Alf, any objections to the 10 guys that Brady is kind of outlined as the 10, with Robinson being that 10th shooter? Do you think that we're underselling anybody, getting a more meaningful? Because I kind of agree that Duncan Robinson is probably going to overcorrect now and come back with a really strong season and all of a sudden could be a staple in the rotation. But I don't want to get ahead of myself. Just before we slide over to some media day comments, because I feel like that is the bench unit. Brady he articulated it well, but how are you feeling feeling about going 10 deep? And do you see anyone there that you would slide out and maybe, bring a Haywood Highsmith in for or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, there were times in the regular season last year we were talking about 11 deep some nights. Like they were going deep into that bench, and I don't see why they wouldn't. Because you're also we're not mentioning Dedmon. I think they still like that. I think his back was hurt at the
That's
end of
so
last
true.
year. We're not even talking about Dedmon. He might be in a rotation over Omer.
That's
So now
true.
we're at 11 guys, right? And this is part of the reason why I don't think you can start Haywood Highsmith, because now you've injected him. Now you're talking about 12 guys deep and got important role players are going to lose minutes with a guy like Haywood Highsmith in the starting lineup. But we all know some of the time these exercises, while I know why we do it as fans, man, 2 weeks into the season, someone's going to, twist an ankle and all the stuff we're talking about is going to get thrown out, right? Like Haywood Highsmith is going to be getting 25 minutes a game, or out of nowhere, Jovic or Darius Days. Like, so this stuff gets blown up. But I 1,000 agree with Brady. The only thing I would say is maybe Omer and Dedmon get flipped. But beyond that, that's the rotation in my mind. And I do think that Duncan can have a really good bounce back year this year, because the weight of starting is gone. The weight of that contract, okay, it's over, bro. Like you got the money, let's go. And his last half of the regular season last year was not bad. Like he shot 40% over the last half of the year.
True.
So if he can carry that momentum into this year and he becomes a 41% shooter off the bench, like that's an awesome weapon to have. And like Brady said, it's a very good, that combination of, let's say, because we know, like Brady said, it's not a hockey line change. You're not getting 5 for 5. I like those Depot, Bam, Duncan lineups with a Gabe or with a Larry. Like there's gonna be some of that mixing. And I think one of the things you saw last year is Jimmy and Duncan didn't really mix together that well. You start to stagger with Duncan off the bench a little bit. I think Duncan is going to have a good season. I think that bench unit is going to be really strong. But like we've been talking about with the issue with the 4, I worry about rebounding across the board, and that's where I might say Omer might get the nod over Dedmon.
Yeah, he gobbles up rebounds just intuitively, so they may need some of that if things get weird on the boards. And Alf, you've said this from day one throughout the summer. If they were going to go into this season with no 4, it would be concerning. And I think all of us are not going to run from that. I feel the same way. Eventually, that they have to plug that hole. Want to tell you about another great sponsor, the daily fantasy partner of 5 Reasons Sports Network. That's prizepicks.com. It is daily fantasy made easy. They'll match your first deposit up to $100 with the code 5. The big payouts, 24/7 live support, fast and secure withdrawals. Read what other members say about them on their website. They're available in 30 states, DC, Canada. Get in the game today. You choose your over and unders. You can do flex plays, power plays. And when you join using the code 5, you will have your initial deposit doubled up to $100. So go to prizepicks.com. They have a great desktop application, but also really great for your phone as well. My favorite daily fantasy app to play. That's prizepicks.com. Use the code 5, FIVE. All right, y'all. We got 5 minutes left. Media day is tomorrow. Over, under, I'm going to set it at 3. Alf, over, under 3 meaningful things said at media day tomorrow.
I mean,
Be
I'm
honest.
taking the under.
Be honest.
I'm taking the under. I'm taking the way under. But listen, they remember what happened last year. They're coming in with a tough mindset. Blah blah. It's going to be. But what I do think you can take away from it is what some of these guys look like. And number one, of course, is going to be what Lowry looks like coming into the building. I think that is going to be what everybody's tweeting about. I hope Brady has it first. Shout out Deuces. I want to know what Lowry looks like. And I'm not one of these. He was fat, that's why he got injured, all that kind of stuff. But I do think just for his longevity at his age, like he has to be. It's going to behoove him to be in better shape. And that is the thing I want to see the most. Of what I'm taking the most away from is what condition Lowry walks into that gym with.
So Brady, you're going to be there. So you're going to get the opportunity to ask questions and hold people accountable. Hopefully Alex will hold people accountable as well, but we never know there. Nah, shout out to you, Alex. You know, I love you. When you're heading into media day, I know you're going to be in the scrum, throwing jabs to get positioning because now you're a veteran at this, even at this young age. But like, is there anything like if you had to go with one thing that you're going in tomorrow that you want to walk away with more information about that you think would be beneficial for the Heat long term, not just like the fluffy media day stuff? Like what is your aim as you kind of get acclimated with this year's Miami Heat team tomorrow at media day?
I'll say if I was going to say the one thing of the importance levels of media day, I think Alf took the number one thing. I was actually going to say Lowry, just being able to see, not even ask a question, just being able to see the Kyle aspect of things, because I feel like that's the one thing that's on everybody's mind in general, is just seeing the shape he comes back in, because that was the Pat comment after the season, because there was two main Pat comments. It was the conditioning of Kyle, and there was the shot attempts of Bam. We're not getting that answer tomorrow. Like, that's not an answer that you're going to get. You may hear it tomorrow, but
Oh, you will.
Getting...
No, I was about to say, you are going to get, I'm going to be more aggressive this year. You're going to get it.
You're going to get it, but you're not going to know what's happening next. If I'll say the one thing I think you'd want to walk away with and know, which is another thing I just don't know if you're going to find out, is the true comfort, I guess, in going smaller and more offensive lineups. Like, if there's one thing for us to really know, like, that would be it. Because yes, we keep talking about the lineups and what they have to do because they're forced into it because they don't have any of the or guys in the roster to make a difference, I guess, with it. But are they really comfortable going this way? I believe Spo is, because I think this fits into his wheelhouse so much. Like, just being able to go in with a bunch of guards that like to run, that can be able to set up offense, are comfortable. They know the system, like everything across the line. I think he would like. But is the team comfortable in that aspect? That, okay, a guy like Caleb has to size up more. Okay, a guy like Yurtsman may have to play in different spots than he's used to than what he did last season. Like, there's going to be little tweaks with this roster, even though they only lost PJ Tucker. Because as much as we say about the PJ thing, like that, you had to walk away, we have to also acknowledge the things that he did kind of as a glue guy with this team, the thing he brought together, the things he did for this team defensively, the things that Jimmy and Bam didn't have to guard the best player on an opposing team on a certain night. Is Caleb going to be that guy? Will Depot be that guy? Like, those are the questions I feel like people want to know. But will those be answered? I kind of doubt that. Like, I don't think that's something we're going to know immediately. But that's some of the stuff. I feel like it's just more comfortable with this comfort with this roster, because as much as they say it and the chemistry within it, we're not going to know until game one. We're probably not going to know until that next Tuesday, until the preseason game, because I don't think that'll be a tell. But game one of the regular season, I think we'll find out immediately how comfortable these guys with each other in terms of just going smaller and, I guess, different system in general.
You know what's crazy? If Jimmy starts at the 4, they're actually going to be taller than they were in the playoffs last year.
With PJ?
Yeah, I mean, Jimmy's bigger than PJ. Like,
just not the acreage.
Yeah,
if they put Tyler at the 4, I think they'd be taller than last year.
This is true, and Duncan for sure. As we started this program,
listen. Last time he won a championship, they had a 6'8" sharpshooter at power forward. I'm just saying.
That's true. And the free version of Zoom is telling me I have less than 1 minute. So good night, folks.